Stoney Hale versus Mike Fleniken. With the official introductions of this middleweight bout, we send it to Michael Williams.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, your next fighter set and ready to make his way to the cage, fighting out of the red corner. This is Stoney Sculler Hale.
Stoney Hale was a high school wrestler in his native Virginia. Jimmy, he told us he had absolutely no work ethic, but at 19, he started fighting tough man competitions. He said that's where he developed his work ethic. He eventually won 10 tough man events, compiling a record of 68-9. Now keep in mind, that's boxing, that's the headgear, those are the big 16 and 18 ounce gloves. But he was being thrown in with men who weighed 300, 320 pounds. Those are absolute brawls. I know you didn't see a lot of those as a kid. I did.
Well, if you get in there and understand how to brawl, that's half of MMA. You got the heart, you can do it.
And now his opponent tonight, fighting out of the blue corner, ready to make his way to the cage. This is Mike Crazy Cajun Fleniken.
Mike Fleniken played baseball at McNeese State University. He was a pitcher. Transitioned into MMA 2 years ago. At 29 years old, Jimmy, he missed playing baseball. He just wanted a competitive outlet.
You know, we hear that a lot during interviews. Why did you start MMA? And then they started with other sports. It had nothing to do with combat. And they say, I wanted to compete. I wanted a challenge. And that mentality can carry you very, very far. It's carried Fleniken all the way here.
With the official introductions, we send it back to Michael Williams.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bellator Fighting Championships, along with Everlast and UB.net, raise, stack, own. Tonight here at Bellator 23 at Louisville's 4th Street Live. Present this feature fight set for 3 5-minute rounds in the middleweight division. And now introducing first, fighting out of the red corner. He wears the black and white at 6 foot even. He weighed in at 182 pounds. The Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialist brings a professional record of 3 victories, 2 by knockout, 0 submissions, and 1 defeat. Representing Team Oxendine and fighting out of Grundy, Virginia, introducing Stoney Sculler Hale. And across the cage, his adversary fighting out of the blue corner. He wears the black and white at 5'10". He weighed in at 183 pounds even. The freestyle fighter brings a professional record of 2-1. He's got both victories by way of submission. Representing Louisville MMA and fighting out of Kaplan, Louisiana, introducing Mike Crazy Cajun Fleniken. And your referee for this contest, Jason Herzog.
Okay, guys, gone over the rules in the back. There are no final questions from you, Red. No final questions from me, Blue. Touch gloves, come out ready to fight.
This Bellator feature fight to be contested. The middleweight limit of 185 pounds. Stoney Hale in the white trunks, Mike Fleniken in the white and black trunks. Jason Herzog, one of the best referees in all of MMA from San Diego, is the 3rd man in the cage. Both fighters said that they want to go all out. Hale said that his goal is to have the most exciting fight of the night. He didn't say his goal was to win the most exciting fight of the night, just to have it.
Well, he's that kind of guy. It's a lot of fun to interview, really entertaining. He just wants to go in there and bang.
Hale said that he is a banger, but he does hold the rank of purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Fleniken said he wanted to work his punches, but eventually punched into the double leg takedown.
You know, it's funny, his coach said that's what he always goes for, whether he knows it or not. He 1-2, throws a couple punches, and then drops for the double leg. But Stoney Hale right now pushing forward for that takedown.
Big punches there from Fleniken.
One thing is, Hale is used to fighting at 170 pounds. Typically does not fight. He's fought as heavy as 205, but he typically fights at 170. He's not used to coming up here to middleweights. He's not a natural middleweight.
Fleniken weighing 183, 2 pounds under the middleweight limit for this bout. After college baseball, he started very heavy weight training. Thought about trying to become a professional bodybuilder, weighed as much as 250 pounds. I do know when you're that big, you still retain this unnatural strength.
Yeah, you certainly do. It's so funny, as heavy as that he was at one time. Still, I think both these guys are naturally more welterweight size, weighed in a couple pounds under the middleweight limit. Stoney Hale used to fighting at welterweight, so I think both these guys could make 170. That's a little funny.
Open guard from Fleniken, pushed against the Bellator cage fence by his opponent, Stoney Hale. Hale looking for the right hand.
Good right hand, good right by Fleniken. Good way to get back up, throw a little punch there.
Low kick by Fleniken. He was honest in the fighter meeting, said that he has limited kicks, but threw one there, and then driving his man Hale down. Almost a hip toss there from Hale. Couldn't quite pull it off.
Both of these guys getting takedowns, having a little trouble holding one another down. They're popping up real easily. Looks like Stoney's in tight on that double leg. Fleniken trying to counter with the guillotine.
Just in front of our commentary position, the guillotine more around the neck than around the carotids, and the slam and the takedown by Hale into side position.
Hale has the purple belt in BJJ. Let's see if he can use it. Has a good position in side control. Fleniken doing a good job of walking up. Always best if you use the cage to your advantage.
Hale now into the north-south. Hale can throw knees from this position into the body, electing not to do so. Side control again for Hale. Fleniken telling us he's more about ground and pound when he's on the ground than playing for submission, so this clearly not his best position right now.
Needs to get back to guard to get anything done. That's surprising. Hale gave him enough space to get up, cut under his right eye.
Blood flowing now out of the right eye of Stoney Hale. Another kick from Fleniken. For somebody who told us they have limited kicks, Fleniken's looking all right with those kicks.
Now looks like he's going for the triangle, but got to get that head cinched in a little bit tighter.
That is Fleniken looking for the triangle submission.
Needs to pull that arm across.
His foot, though, is not buried under the knee pick.
And his hips are at the wrong angle. He's really more of in an armbar position than a triangle position here. He needs to pull that foot down a little bit tighter. He needs to grab the leg.
That's what Fleniken is doing.
Now he's in much better position to finish, but needs to get that arm across, and he doesn't do it in time.
Hale popping free. Again, we're outside. It is hot. It is humid here in Louisville, Kentucky. It's one thing to do those moves when the air conditioning is on. You're on a mat. Both are wearing gis. It's another thing with sweaty bodies.
And also, the legs don't do the choking in a triangle choke. It's having your own arm across your carotid artery. You never got that arm across. Good reversal by Fleniken. Let's see what he can do on top of his ground and pound.
Fleniken, this is what he believes he does best, the full ground and pound. Elbows to the body, forearm to the body. Now Hale trying to walk up his guard. Final half minute of this opening round in what is indeed a very exciting and entertaining fight. Stoney Hale versus Mike Fleniken. Big right hands from the top by Fleniken.
Hale trying to move to armbar position, but he has his right arm trapped underneath the leg there. Only 5 seconds. Don't know if he'll be able to use it.
We are headed to round number 2. Heading into round number 2 of this Bellator feature fight in the middleweight division. The bell in round number 2. Stoney Hale is in the white trunks. Mike Fleniken in the white and black trunks.
Fleniken has to keep his hands up. Stoney Hale likes those big overhand rights and lefts.
3 judges scoring cage side for the state of Kentucky. Jimmy, you have the unofficial card.
That was a tough round to score, very even, very back and forth. I think Mike Fleniken stole it at the end with that ground and pound. Came pretty close with the triangle. That's a good effort to finish the fight. Guy, I would give him the edge, but could go either way.
A lot of action in round number 1. See if the action can continue. Both men can continue that pace here in round number 2. Already a bit slower tempo.
Oh, it certainly is, and it is hot out here in Louisville, Kentucky. We're covered up. There's a little bit of shade, but still a lot of sweat. Very exhausting being out there fighting, Sean.
The air temperature is 85 degrees. Now, with the cage lights, add another 10, 12, maybe 15 degrees.
And the fact that you're fighting, that adds a lot too.
It's going to feel easily 95, 100 degrees inside the Bellator cage right now.
Good elbows by Hale, keeping, good ground and pound position. Keep your opponent's head against cage, and once again lets him up. It's a little so. Oh,
big right hand! Fleniken is in trouble, and Hale is looking to finish. It was that overhand wind-up right.
And that's from Fleniken keeping his hands down. Came out a little bit fatigued.
Fleniken was the baseball pitcher at McNeese State University, and that looked a lot like a pitch. A big windup over the top with that right hand.
Certainly did. Caught him right near the temple.
But it came from the non-baseball player, Stoney Hale. Punches, especially in MMA, don't have to be gorgeous to be effective. You know that, Jimmy.
No, they certainly don't. And a lot of boxing fans criticize MMA because people get caught with punches that are hard to catch a boxer with. Boxers usually don't fall for a big overhand right or a loopy left, but MMA, when there's so much can come at you, a lot of guys aren't ready for it, and Fleniken was not ready for that punch, but he's on top now.
Boxers are only looking for punches. MMA fighters are looking for everything.
Yeah.
Fleniken back to his feet. He was definitely caught with that punch. And just dragged down there by Stoney Hale.
Once again, Fleniken ending up on top.
Hale really just pulling his man down and then falling to the bottom. Good elbow to the body by Fleniken.
That's a good way to wear your opponent out. Those ribs start swelling up. It's very hard to breathe.
Big left hands there from an awkward position by Fleniken.
Watch the back of the head.
Well, I think Hale is really tired here, just curling up. He's got to drive on that takedown if he wants to get on top, and he does.
Now Hale into side control. Stepping right into the half guard of Mike Fleniken is Stoney Hale. Odd there, Jimmy. He had side control and just stepped right into the half guard.
Shows a little bit of inexperience.
Hale working on the left wrist isolation of Mike Fleniken, now giving up the wrist.
A good way to judge somebody's ground game is how screwed you are when they're in good position. A really good jiu-jitsu fighter, they get side control, they do not go anywhere. Very hard, you got to fight your way out of that.
Again, side control by Hale.
Hale with his head down though. Trying to land some strikes, but he looks very, very tired, Sean.
Hale almost thought about throwing a left knee and then thought better of it.
Now moving in the mount.
And that's why he didn't throw the knee. He saw the mount and he took it. Now getting the back of Fleniken is Stoney Hale and looking for the rear naked choke to finish.
Good job by Fleniken getting that one hook out, but Hale still glued to his back.
Hale committing to the rear naked choke. You see Fleniken posturing on his hip.
The rear naked's much harder to get with MMA gloves on. Oh, but I think he's got it.
The rear naked is locked in under the chin, and that is really tight. Both hooks are in by Hale. The end could be near, and that is it. Submission win for Stoney Hale.
Man, that's one thing I was about to say. It's hard to get with those MMA gloves, but as soon as that forearm went underneath the chin, that is it. It's deep, nowhere to go. So one thing about being sweaty in fights like this, when it's really hot outside, it's easy to slide that arm underneath. It's very hard to block. That's one thing that being sweatier helps, is getting sliding that forearm in for a choke.
Hale made no mistake, right under the chin, right into the throat. So often, Jimmy, you see fighters get it as though it's a modified chin lock, but that was a straight choke.
See here, Hale started out that round with that big overhand right. It was a good shot. See it here. Bang, right over the temple. And to his credit, Fleniken recovered, was able to get back on top, was trying to steal back that round, almost had it. But once Hale had his back, once that forearm was underneath the chin, only has one hook in, it makes absolutely no difference. If you can get those arms underneath, get that arm underneath the chin, that's all it takes for the rear naked. It's sunk deep. Mike Fleniken, no choice but to tap.
Ladies and gentlemen, the tap comes at 4 minutes, 20 seconds of round number 2. The winner via rear naked choke by submission, Stoney Sculler Hale.
Stoney Hale now 4 wins against just 1 defeat in his MMA career. That was a very exciting fight. By way of second round submission at 4 minutes 20 seconds, Stoney Hale defeats Mike Fleniken.